Coming to you live from Nairobi, Kenya, this is the Daily Report. Thank you very much for choosing us this evening. Now, a lot is going to be in store for you, including money market fund. Have you ever heard of those three words? If yes, well, we're going to be giving you more details. If no, worry not, because we're going to be breaking it down for you. All that, but first to the highlights. Tonight, President William Ruto responds to critics who were removed from his administration, accusing them of attempting to undermine the government's progress.
Hatutaki tena siasa itakayo tugawanya. Hatutaki chuki. Hatutaki migawanyiko. Hatutaki ukabila. Tunataka tushikamane.
Also tonight, in response to public outcry over discriminatory coverage under the Social Health Authority, both the authority and the Ministry of Health have announced that the benefits package will soon be reviewed.
The indication initially was that we are supposed to review the tariff and benefits after 2 years, but because of the call from Kenyans regarding their experience with SHA, that will be done much sooner.
Plus, there has been widespread discussion online and probably offline regarding the 2025 finance bill. But has the document actually been released yet? Tonight, we revisit the country's budget-making process. Once more, thank you very much for choosing us. Rhoda Nyamai is on the sign language docket. I'm yours truly, Stanley Nyaringita. Tonight, we start off on a sad note. Detectives from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, the DCI, are investigating a shocking murder after the arrest of 29-year-old John Kiama Wambua in Nairobi. As GOtv now reports, the suspect was apprehended at around 5 a.m. on Tuesday near Kelly Towers in Huruma. During a routine patrol, officers became suspicious when they noticed Wambua carrying a heavy backpack and behaving mysteriously.
A Nairobi court has granted police permission to detain murder suspect John Kiama Wambua for 21 days to facilitate the completion of investigations. Wambua is accused of brutally murdering his wife and was arrested early Tuesday morning when officers on a routine patrol at approximately 5 a.m. on Wednesday near Kelly Towers in Huruma town stopped a man as a part of their routine patrol measures. They did not know the shock that awaited them. The interaction between them and the suspect was after officers noticed him behaving suspiciously while carrying a heavy backpack, and upon conducting a search on Wambua, the officers were horrified to discover that the bag contained dismembered body parts of a female, and during interrogation, Wambua shockingly identified the remains as those of his 19-year-old wife, Joy Frida Munani, who had been reported missing just days earlier. Despite the gruesome discovery, Wambua exhibited an unsettling calmness throughout the encounter. He cooperated with the police and led them to his residence, where further investigations revealed more horrifying evidence. Under his bed, officers found additional body parts, a blood-soaked knife believed to be the murder weapon, and clothing belongings to one Joy Frida Munani. The suspect says that the two had a quarrel that led to her death, with Kiama adding that the wife had cheated on him with another man. Investigators, however, noted that some body parts were still missing, prompting crime scene investigator CSI to conduct thorough searches in the surrounding area for additional evidence. The DCI has urged anyone with the information related to the case or similar incidents to come forward. Ruga Evil, TV47.
Thank you, Evil. To some politics now, President William Ruto has responded sharply to critics, especially those ousted from his administration, accusing them of derailing government progress. Ruto made the remarks while on his ongoing tour of the region, where he unveiled key infrastructure projects. George Maringa has more on the president's address and the growing political tensions.
President William Ruto is dismissing claims from former officials who were ousted from his administration, saying their efforts to sow discord and undermine his government's achievements will not succeed. The president made the remarks on Wednesday as he launched the construction of Luanda Market in Vihiga County, part of a series of projects aimed at boosting regional economies.
Wananchi hawa hawawezi kununua ukabila, my friend. Hawawezi kununua chuki. Wale ambao wameshindwa na kazi, kuna wengine tuliwapatia kazi because of incompetence, kwa sababu haelewi chochote. kwa sababu ni watu wa wizi, watu ambao ni matapeli, watu ambao ni wafisadi, watu ambao wako na chuki, wanagawanya watu. Hiyo biashara yao ilizama. Na mimi nataka niwaambie watazama na kuzama na kuzama, kwa sababu Kenya haina nafasi ya wafisadi, watu ambao hawajui kufanya kazi, na watu wa kugawanya watu kwa mambo ya ukabila.
Ruto's comments follow months of political turbulence, including the impeachment of former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and a reshuffle that saw key figures aligned with opposition leader Raila Odinga brought into government. Despite these challenges, President Ruto has reiterated that his administration remains focused on delivering on its promises, emphasizing Kenya's positive trajectory in line with the Kenya Kwanza manifesto.
We have no time for tribalists and people who are incompetent and those who want to divide our nation on ethnic, parochial, personal lines. We are united as a people, and Kenya is going to march forward as one united, indivisible country that we all will be proud to call home.
Accompanying the president, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki assured the public that the government is committed to economic transformation with a focus on critical infrastructure and key sectors like agriculture.
Rais amesema ili nchi yetu iendelee haraka, lazima tuwe kitu kimoja kama taifa. Kusiwe na ubaguzi wa kikabila, wa kidini, wa kijinsia, wa kiumri, kusiwe na ubaguzi wa aina yoyote. Rais anasema Kenya ni moja, taifa letu ni moja, sisi ni ndugu moja, bendera yetu ni moja.
Kindiki also highlighted ongoing efforts to improve public services with major investments in healthcare and education, aiming to ensure a better quality of life for all Kenyans.
Rais amesema ili nchi yetu iendelee haraka, lazima tuwe kitu kimoja kama taifa. Kusiwe na ubaguzi wa kikabila, wa kidini, wa kijinsia, wa kiumri, kusiwe na ubaguzi wa aina yoyote. Rais anasema Kenya ni moja, taifa letu ni moja, sisi ni ndugu moja, bendera yetu ni moja.
Mimi najua shida yetu ni kazi, si ndio? Contractor umemuona pale? Na rais amesema miezi 2 kazi itakuwa imeisha, si ndio? Lakini contractor tunamuomba, tafadhali first priority kwa zile kazi ni vijana wa wapi? Ni vijana wa wapi?
The president and his deputy emphasized that despite economic challenges, the administration remains committed to its development agenda and the future of Kenya.
Tunataka kubadilisha maisha ya wananchi wa Kenya wote. Kama rais hayuko hapa, ako kwingine. Yeye anasunguka tu Kenya mzima. Na sisi Western ametupa wiki mzima. So nyinyi watu wetu wa Budalangi, ndugu yangu Wanjala, ndugu yangu Tuoma na timu ya Busia, muhakikishe huu mradi unabishana na ule wa Mwea.
Your Excellency, mimi na Wandai huyu we are 5 and 6. Mimi na huyu Oparanya we are 5 and 6. Wewe na baba you are 5 and 6. Sasa sisi pia tutakuwa 5 and 6. Na mambo inaishia hapo.
President Ruto's comments come as the government continues to push ahead with its ambitious development plans, hoping to unite the country and secure its long-term economic growth. George Maringa, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, George, for that. On the flip side of the political inclination, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka has strongly criticized the Kenya Kwanza government, accusing President William Ruto of failing the country. Speaking during a public gathering, Kalonzo dismissed Ruto's Western Kenya tour, claiming it's part of his 2027 re-election campaign rather than a genuine effort to unite the nation. Additionally, he raised concerns over voter registration, alleging a plot to include non-citizens and pointing to the delay in constituting the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, that is IEBC. Kalonzo has urged Kenyans to remain vigilant and start registering to vote.
Ruto tries to do has been settled. So if he goes around saying he's united the country, what he doesn't know is the country is united around one point of making sure William Ruto loses the election, in spite of the utterances by some of the people. who say that they know how to manufacture 24-year presidencies. They know even if he loses, he will not lose. Those are warlike utterances. So Kenyans are demanding justice everywhere. The right to have an ID as a Kenyan is a right. It's your birthright. It cannot be negotiated. And so let's all be as committed as Senior Counsel Judy Thongori, who said women's rights are human rights. So Kenyan rights everywhere. And denying a Kenyan youth their right to life is denying every Kenyan the right to life. So the future belongs, the future belongs to the young generation. And so, like them, he sounded almost angry. Msikubali mali yenu ya umma muone ikiporwa. Do something about it. I think that's what fatherly advice. That's all we are saying. Therefore, I'm in complete agreement. Not just the Gen Zs, by the way. Every Kenyan now stand up and fight for your rights. Kenyan women, Kenyan mothers.
Right, speaking about matters unity or the lack thereof. Tonight, President William Ruto and Public Service Cabinet Secretary Justin Muturi allies have clashed after the CS skipped a cabinet meeting on Tuesday at the Kakamega State Lodge on that day, on Tuesday. Ruto's allies want the CS to resign, describing his absence as a sign that his relationship with President William Ruto is broken. Muturi's allies have said any attempt by the president to sack Muturi will be the highest form of betrayal to a man who stood by him during his tribulations in the last administration.
Public Service CS Justin Muturi's decision to skip a cabinet sitting on Tuesday at the Kakamega State Lodge has not only fueled speculation of a fallout between him and President William Ruto, but has sharply divided leaders allied to the president and former DP Rigathi Gachagua, the Muturi axis.
Do it the right way. You don't need to be sacked. No, you can resign. Just resign and leave.
It will be the betrayal of the century. And as a matter of fact, when there was a punch in Jubilee Party, JB Muturi actually used his power as a speaker to go against the government and actually made sure that the president sustained being the deputy president until when he was elected the president.
The CS, who was not invited to Tuesday's cabinet meeting, amid calls from the president's allies to resign in the wake of his NIS abduction bombshell, has left President Ruto with three options: either sack him, reconcile with him, or frustrate him until he gives in to pressure and resigns.
If they thought they could intimidate Justin Muturi the way we know him, then they picked on the wrong guy.
Muturi, a seasoned politician who served as a magistrate before entering into politics and becoming Speaker of the National Assembly and Attorney General, has the option of staying put, but whether he will stand the pressure to quit or be a lone ranger in the cabinet if he does not reconcile with his boss is another dilemma.
These are two principals whom we respect, Justin Muturi and William Ruto. We both respect all of them, both of them. And the differences which may be there, let them amicably solve those differences at their level.
If the president is not happy with you, you don't get communication. So if you don't get communication, what do? You just skip. Yeah, because then you have no use there.
Unlike former DP Rigathi Gachagua, who joined Ruto without a party, Muturi's party, the Democratic Party, which entered into a coalition pact with Kenya Kwanza, may complicate matters for his removal, as the exit clauses are legally binding and could become a court matter, but may not hold in case of an impeachment in Parliament. Apul Kamau, TV47.
Right, speaking about faiths, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, the ACC chairperson David Oginde, has announced that the commission has launched an investigation into corruption allegations against some judicial staff. The development comes as the Law Society of Kenya, that is LSK, recently condemned the Judicial Service Commission, JSC, for its alleged failure to tackle corruption, ensure transparency, and uphold the independence of the judiciary, as Mike Kagwongo tells us.
The Judicial Service Commission is on the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission's radar after alleged involvement in corruption cases attached to top judicial staff. According to Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Chairperson Bishop David Oginde, the commission received intel from Chief Justice Martha Koome involving concerns that her judicial staff from 3 stations were notorious in receiving bribes.
We had a meeting with the Chief Justice, and in that meeting she raised the concern that she's receiving reports that some of her officers are taking bribes and therefore subverting justice. And so she, on her own initiative, called upon us to help her in this area. She identified 3 particular stations that have been mentioned where we would start, and I would want to say that our teams are already in these 3 stations.
This as the Law Society of Kenya recently condemned the Judicial Service Commission, accusing it of failure to address corruption, promote transparency and safeguard the independence of the judiciary.
And we cannot afford to have people within that whole system who are actually subverting that very important step in our judicial system by taking bribes.
According to Oginde, the investigation will eventually encompass the entire judiciary, and the Director of Public Prosecutions DPP as well as the Judicial Service Commission JSC will get the findings.
We are looking at the whole judiciary, so we will, when we get anything that is worthy of reporting to our people, we will certainly do that.
In the midst of calls for social media control, Oginde emphasized the need to stop the growing misbehavior among the youth and a section of political leaders.
It is something that we should look into ways and means of seeing how to help these young people address the issues without being disrespectful.
The Commission also launched the National Integrity Academy strategic plan aimed at equipping leaders on matters integrity and accountability running from 2024 to 2028. Mike Kagwongo, TV47, Nairobi.
To health matters now, and the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, KUCO, has suspended its strike for 21 days to allow negotiations with the government aimed at resolving the grievances. KUCO has confirmed that the empanelment of facilities into the new Social Health Authority, commonly known as SHA system, has been addressed. However, strikes persist in Lamu, Kwale, Vihiga and Uasin Gishu counties, as Sheila Chelagat tells us.
For the 2 days that the clinical officers have been on strike, health services in some facilities across the country were paralyzed. However, there seems to be light at the end of the tunnel, with KUCO suspending the strike for 21 days, pending further negotiations to their list of demands.
Tunausitisha ndio tuweze kukua na maongezi kama vile serikali ama waajiri wetu wameweza wakatuuliza.
The union now saying that SHA empanelment issue has so far been resolved.
All the facilities that had been excluded have been included in the Social Health Authority system, and that has been ongoing. Today, I know they are still working on the professionals whom have not also all of them been included.
Among the issues up for negotiations during this 21-day period is the CBA and return to work formula signed last year.
Sio mambo ati tunaenda kufanya negotiation. Tunaenda tu kuangalia vile tutaweza kuhakikisha ya kwamba yanatekelezwa ndio maafisa tabibu wafanye kazi vyema.
The strike, however, persists in the counties of Lamu, Kwale, Vihiga and Uasin Gishu. Meanwhile, doctors at Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital have issued a 14-day strike notice to the hospital's management, citing various issues, among them lack of medical cover for doctors, discrimination and poor working conditions.
Our concern is that is it possible to get quality of care for the patients And is it possible for doctors to be supported to do the job?
And in Siaya County, doctors today began their strike, accusing the county government of failure to honor a collective bargaining agreement signed with KMPDU.
This blatant disregard of agreed upon commitments has left us with no choice but to take a decisive action.
Sheila Chelanget for TV47.
Thank you, Sheila. Let's still stay on matters of health. And as public outcry grows over the Social Health Authority's SHA overseas treatment package, the Minister of Health and SHA have announced plans to review the benefits package to ensure all Kenyans have access to quality healthcare. Elizabeth Atieno reports that the SHA has also confirmed the existence of a specialized medical scheme for civil servants, while reiterating that all registered Kenyans enjoy equal benefits under the scheme.
It is 3 months since the Social Health Authority SHA was launched, and so far 18.2 million Kenyans have registered with the new health scheme. However, there exists some loopholes surrounding SHA that have seen some patients thrown into an abyss of despair and desperation. The Ministry of Health now acknowledging that indeed the benefits package under SHA needs to be reviewed to benefit all Kenyans.
The indication initially was that we are supposed to review the tariff and benefits after 2 years, but because of the call from Kenyans regarding their experience with SHA, that will be done much sooner.
Concerns have been rife on patients seeking services overseas being abandoned by the new health scheme, reason being that SHA's contribution to overseas treatment is capped at 500,000 Kenya shillings. This has left hundreds of patients in limbo, not forgetting the influx of patients seeking services abroad. For instance, between 2021 and 2022, a total of 569 patients were sent abroad for specialized care, with India accounting for over 80% of these referrals.
Just to emphasize that SHA is providing support in terms of foreign treatment by way of, based on the tariffs that we are using, meeting the cost to the tune of 500,000.
The 500,000 Kenya shillings being offered by SHA is not enough for some patients who need treatment abroad, considering that most of these patients are referred overseas for high-risk surgeries like open heart surgery, stem cells transplants, bone marrow transplants, liver transplant, and arterial switch operations. These treatments mostly cost approximately 1.5 million Kenya shillings, which means SHA can only cater for at least less than half the amount.
The Cabinet Secretary and the Principal Secretary, State Department of Medical Services, have instituted measures to be able to ensure that the benefit package tariffs advisory panel, which is envisioned in law, is then in place.
Another issue raised by Kenyans is that SHA appears to be discriminatory, whereby civil servants enjoy a better package compared to those working in the informal sector. In its defense, the Social Health Authority says the health scheme for civil servants has been transitioned from the defunct NHIF.
We have a separate scheme for civil servants, but the benefit I've talked about is available to all Kenyans who are registered under SHA. The benefit is uniform.
Since the inception of the Social Health Authority, 660,000 claims totaling to 14.6 billion have been lodged on the portal. 8.5 billion Kenya shillings for the private and faith-based facilities and 4.8 billion Kenya shillings for the public health facilities. The number of pre-authorizations has exceeded 300,000. Meanwhile, Kenya has now received 2.3 million doses of the BCG vaccine, and the distribution has commenced to the 9 regional depots, including Nairobi, Kisumu, Kakamega, Nakuru, Eldoret, Garissa, Mombasa, Meru, and Nyeri. An additional 234,000 doses are currently in stock. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Liza Tino, for that. Now, hundreds of mourners gathered at Nairobi Chapel to honor the life and legacy of senior counsel Judy Thongori during her memorial service. Known for her groundbreaking legal achievements, Judy successfully sued the government over inadequate representation of women in leadership and played a key role in shaping the Matrimonial Property Act and Marriage Act. She passed away in India while undergoing treatment for a short illness. Friends, family, and colleagues described her as the mother of mediation and a woman of integrity, family values, and professional excellence.
Despite her demanding career, Judy was a pillar of strength and warmth at home. She balanced everything with grace. Her professional stature never overshadowed her role as a devoted mother, a devoted wife and mother.
She was a true force of nature, a bastion of family law, a staunch advocate for women's rights, and a compassionate professional who used her outstanding legal acumen to amplify the voices of the vulnerable. Her work touched countless lives, guiding families through their most challenging moments with grace and care. Judy's contributions extended far beyond the courtroom. She played an instrumental role in shaping Kenya's legal framework, particularly her involvement in the development of the Matrimonial Properties Act of 2013 and the Marriage Act of 2014.
The Thongori Senior Counsel was her luminary in many things. May her soul rest in eternal peace, and may her extraordinary legacy continue to inspire and guide all of us. She has passed a torch, she has passed a baton to us who have been left. Until we meet again, my dear friend, my sister Judy, rest in peace, rest in power.
Most definitely, rest in peace, rest in power, Judy Thongori. To education matters now, the newly appointed Moi University Council has officially taken oath of office, pledging to implement transformative reforms aimed at restoring the institution's past glory. Led by renowned academician Professor Noah Midamba as the chairperson, the council has outlined plans to restructure management and enhance governance. Chichi Josephine tells us more.
A month after Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Ogamba promised to instigate a raft of changes at the Moi University's management, a new university council took the oath of office on Wednesday.
Having been appointed as a member of the Moi University Council, do swear and I will.
Led by top academician Professor Noah Midamba, who will chair the board, Professor Ronald Wasike, Dr. Mercy Kanyara, Dr. Edward Sambeli and Anwar Sheke took the oath of office and pledged to set in motion a series of reforms at the facility to ensure the institution regain its lost glory.
We want to refocus ourselves as a center of excellence in academia, in innovation, and we have a strategy plan, 2023, 2024, 2028, 2027, 2028, that we'll closely work through.
We've tried, together with the leadership, supporting the government, assisted by the CS and the president, to give back the life to Moi University.
The university workers have urged the new council to implement the CBA they signed last year and provide sound leadership to ensure the university doesn't go to ruins.
When we are discussing about salary in the second biggest university in Kenya, I think something really went wrong, and we must apologize.
Moi University was at one point considered the second most prestigious university in Kenya behind the University of Nairobi. However, a number of issues tied to mismanagement has seen the institution of higher learning lose its glory.
We are not going to let any of our universities to go down, and we are beginning with Moi. We are next moving to Tuk in Nairobi, just to ensure that we bring a lot of hygiene in this sector, and each and every one of us does their role or plays their role to ensure that these many issues that are facing the universities are brought to an end, to ensure that the universities then can go back and do their main mandate.
Chichi Josephine, TV47.
Right, 28 minutes past the top of the hour. That report by Chichi Josephine takes us to a fast short break. You're watching Daily Report. Rhoda Nyamai will be back after this short break. When we come back, we'll be telling you more, including understanding how you can invest your money in a money market fund. Don't go too far.
elevate your business game.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
Kama wewe ni mfanyabiashara, huwezi kaa bure, unajipanga taratibu vile inavyofaa.
Join us each week as we dive into the stories of the world's most driven entrepreneurs.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
The Grind, where business meets brilliance. Tune in every Monday at 7:30 p.m. because your business deserves the best.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2. What position were you? Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with
we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m.
Thank you very much for sticking around. This is the Daily Report. I'm used to Stanley Nyaringita. On sign language is Rhoda Nyamai. To some business news now, and Kenya's GDP growth forecast is projected at 4.7% in 2025 as the country continues to leverage advancements in digital technology, energy, and transport infrastructure to enhance regional connectivity and trade. While this forecast is slightly lower than the initial projection of more than 5% by economists, the country's growth potential remains promising, driven by Africa's overall economic expansion. However, Kenya faces challenges in achieving stable fiscal reforms, which is compromising investor confidence.
These are growth positive. When you look at deregulation, you look at extension of tax cuts, and we think those, of course, will outweigh some of the potentially growth-dragging policies like tariffs. I think challenges are a little bit higher when you look elsewhere in the world. Growth is arguably at a lower level in Europe, where we are seeing policy respond to that. And across parts of emerging markets in Asia, of course, it's a more mixed bag, with some economies like India exhibiting strong growth and others like China perhaps a little bit more moderate. But on balance, from an investor perspective, a positive view on economic growth in the US, we think is the key one, and that really is driving a lot of our overweight on equity markets.
Insights in terms of the areas that have opportunities in 2025, how they can position their portfolios, how they can invest both locally and globally to capture the areas of growth, and also to look at the areas where we could face some volatilities and challenges and see how we can mitigate that. We are very keen to look at the global equity market. We think that 2025 gives a much better outlook for global equities, led by the US.
Right. Now, I know you're probably planning to have your supper right now, or you're just having it. So Gen Z, listen to this. Nearly half of Gen Z Kenyans aged between 16 and 25 often choose cereal as a snack, according to a survey conducted by Weetabix East Africa. So almost half of the Gen Z population admitted to snacking on cereal, showcasing its growing popularity among the youth. 4 out of 10 respondents highlighted their preference for food that is portable and easy to eat on the go. This shift signals a change in consumer habits as Kenyans move away from traditional fried snacks as their go-to food options. Additionally, the growing demand for variety and convenience in snack options has prompted manufacturers to expand their product offerings to meet these changing preferences.
Through our internal data, research is showing us that the regional cereals market is projected to grow at about 13.4% in the next 4 years. That's by 2029. That's significant. This is, of course, driven by quite a number of things. One of the things is the rise of demand for healthy food options, the growing awareness of breakfast and its importance, and the unmatched convenience of ready-to-eat cereal products.
Consumers are increasingly seeking foods that provide health benefits that just go beyond basic nutrition. It's not just about filling your stomach, your tumbo, but it's about what additional health benefits can you get.
Right. So there has been talk online and possibly offline about the 2025 finance bill, but is the document really out yet? Tonight, we revisit the country's budget-making process. It is important to note that the country follows a structured budget-making process outlined by the Public Finance Management Act of 2012. It is also important to note that the budget-making process is a continuous one and never stops. So where do we start off as of today, the 22nd of January 2025? Let's find out. So first off, this is the budget formulation, as it is the dates here, which commences by the 30th of August each year. So the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury issues circular guidelines to national government entities. Now this also includes key dates, revenue projection procedures, as well as public participation guidelines. Let's also take a look at other dates that you really need to know in this particular preparation of the budget. So first off, the national government entities prepares the budget estimates. So by April the 30th, the Cabinet Secretary, Parliamentary Service Commission, as well as the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary must submit budget estimates to the National Assembly. The public participation is a crucial component of this particular stage. Now let's review the budget review and approval. So the National Assembly's Budget and Appropriations Committee reviews these particular estimates. The committee also seeks public representations from the public participation, which you definitely see annually on the dailies, also from the media. The committee makes recommendations to the National Assembly. Right, let's take a look at another bit that you need to know on the finalization bit of the budget. So the Treasury Cabinet Secretary prepares and submits the appropriation bill. The National Assembly should approve these estimates by the 30th of June. The National Treasury publishes and publicizes the budget estimates within 21 days of approval. So on the bit of publishing, as I was telling you, on the dailies that you have. So as of today, the 22nd of January 2025, the Finance Bill 2025 is not yet out. However, the country is actively engaged in preparing the 2025-2026 budget. So currently, work is basically underway on the budget policy statement for the financial year of 2025 as well as 2026, and the draft 2025 budget policy statement has already been released. Something else that you definitely need to know on the details tonight, the budget policy statement submission to Parliament is done by the February of the 15th, 2025. So as of next month, giving you these details. So the guidelines for the finalization of the ministerial budgets will be issued on the 5th of March, 2025. And the budget statements preparation by the 12th of June, 2025. Appropriation bill approval by the 30th of June 2025. Have a keynote on this particular dates, because we're going to be reminding you as of this particular dates that we have shown you. Right, that is of matters budget. We're going to also be giving you a whole explain about the money market funds. But right now though, let's get sporty.
Sports news brought to you by Maybets.
Right, in the sporting world, the long-serving Mathare United Football Club chairman, the late Bob Munro, will be laid to rest after cremation on Tuesday, January 28th at Kariakor Crematorium in Nairobi. Earlier today, players from the top flight league team paid tribute to the founder of the Mathare Youth Sports Association. Munro was instrumental in the growth of football in Kenya. Tony Kolanda attended the training session and filed this report.
Wednesday morning at the Goan Institute grounds in Nairobi, Mathare United players putting in the shift as if supervised by the late Bob Munro. The chairman of the top flight league team played a key role in the lives of those in the playing unit, the technical bench and the support staff.
It was so sad. I couldn't believe. Hata angeningoja hata tuambiane jambo moja, but the spirit still is there with us. Tunasema tumepoteza an icon, a father, a husband, a grandfather, and somebody who knew what he wanted.
The Canadian never missed the club's training sessions and positively impacted all members on and off the pitch.
Nilianza kama ball boy hapa Mathare, nikakua na naweza sema amechangia pakubwa sana kwa maisha yangu ya ball mpaka sasa hivi nimefika hapa hivi Premier League.
Nimegrow maisha, I think maisha yangu yote, sijai kuwa mahali pengine. Kuanza life yangu yote nimeanzia maisha.
Kulikuwa na league alikuwa nayo ya Maisa, so through your league nikapata opportunity nika travel to Norway, so ilikuwa ni big na hiyo ndio ilini motivate.
Last December, he was honored with the Elder of the Order of the Burning Spear during the Jamhuri Day celebrations, one of numerous accolades he received since 1987.
In 2011, Ulinzi Stars ikibeba Kenya Premier League, 90% ya wachezaji wale walikuwa na feature kwa Premier League, wote walikuwa wamepitia Maisa.
90% ya wachezaji wengi wale wanacheza KPL, FKPL, so ni wa kutoka Mathare Zone. Ukiangalia marefari wengi, ukiangalia physio hata national team wametoka Maisa.
Mimi nimepita process zote za Maisa. Nimekuwa mchezaji, nimeenda Norway Cup kama mchezaji 2005.
The late Munro's contribution to the growth of football in Kenya is immense. Some of the current and past stars who were nurtured by Mathare Youth Sports Association include Harambee Stars interim coach Francis Kimanzi, former coach Stanley Okumbi, Harambee Stars legends Titus and Simeon Mulama, Dennis Oliech, Duncan Ochieng and Anthony Kimani among others.
Na mimi kama kit manager akikuja apate kama anything ni chafu, yani maybe baby ball ama something, alikuwa very keen.
Munro will be cremated next Tuesday at Kariakor Crematorium in Nairobi after a procession at Maisa headquarters on Saturday and a church service on Monday. Robert Donald Munro has been very instrumental in the growth of a lot of footballers in the country. In fact, the football league in the country, of course, borrows that format from the Mathare Youth Sports Association. And most of those people from informal settlements will remember Bob. Tony Kwalanda, TV47 in Nairobi.
Most definitely, rest in peace, Bob Munro. Thank you, TK. Now, Police FC has taken charge as the Football Kenya Federation Premier League FPL leaders with 33 points after registering a 3-0 victory against Bandari at Kenyatta Stadium in Machakos County. Goals from Marvin Nabuire, Clinton Kinanga and Jesse was sealed the victory for the police side. Right, 44 minutes past the top of the hour. On our WhatsApp messages, Raf Mato says, I would definitely love to learn all about money market fund. And yes, you'll be learning, and you, viewer, will be learning more about a money market fund. Have you experienced one? No, or not? We'll be breaking that down for you. Joining us tonight, John Mweri. He is a financial advisor as well as an accountant. Don't go too far. Stay right here at your home of Untold Stories.
Are you ready to elevate your business game?
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
Kama wewe ni mfanyabiashara, huwezi kaa bure, unajipanga taratibu vile inavyofaa.
Join us each week as we dive into the stories of the world's most driven entrepreneurs.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
The Grind, where business meets brilliance. Tune in every Monday at 7:30 p.m. because your business deserves the best.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side. We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m.
Jiunge nasi
Thank you very much for sticking around. This is the Daily Report, even as we get into the marketplace as well. For our explainer tonight, Rhoda Nyamai is our sign language interpreter. Money market fund, those are 3 words that you probably have ever heard of. If not, worry not. We're going to be explaining that for you in depth. John Mweri, he is a financial advisor as well as an accountant. He'll be again also helping you understand how you can invest your money. Since the 1970s, this particular money market funds have been in existence globally. And in Kenya, it has been quite a trend. But money market fund, what does it even mean? Let's start off with the first explainer for you, just to understand what a money market fund is. So basically, it is a low-risk investment aiming to deliver returns above the prevailing inflation rate. Yes, I know this particular bit is where you'd be ish about it. What do you mean low risk? He'll be explaining that to us. So it is also sub-fund of the collective investment schemes under the Capital Markets Regulation 2001. And speaking about this particular sub-funds, let me walk you through other sub-funds that also exist, about the 10 of them, and I had said money market fund is among them. So others that include, according to the Capital Markets Authority, there is Ngao Fixed Income Distribution Fund, Almasi Fixed Income Accumulation Fund, Eurofix Fixed Income Special Fund, USD, Thamani Equity Fund. Other 5 include Africa Equity Special Fund. There's also the Global Equity Special Fund, the Multi-Asset Strategy Special Fund for the USD, and he'll also be just helping us understand the difference between the USD as well as the Kenya shilling, a Global Sharia Equity Special Fund, and the Mabruk Sharia Special Fund. These are just the collective investment schemes, and money market fund is just a sub-fund of it. So who is a fund manager? So a fund manager is a manager of this collective investment scheme. In our case, for the money market fund, who is registered venture, capital company, or an investment advisor who manages a portfolio of securities in excess of an amount prescribed by the authority from time to time. And this authority is the Capital Markets Authority. This is actually under the law. This is under the Capital Markets Act, Cap 485A. So now that you understand who a fund manager is, let's take a look at how many there are in the country. As of up to now, there are 42 licensed Capital Markets Authority. As we continue this conversation, we'll be seeing a list of some of these fund managers so that you can know, who do I pick? As I won't be telling you who to pick, I definitely won't do that, but then you can just take a look at that and do your further research on these 42, what to do with them. The parties involved in this, so this is a whole ecosystem that you definitely need to know. Basically, in layman's terms, this is where they say money exchanges hands and all that. So these are the kind of hands that are going to be exchanged here. So first off, the assets, okay, so before you even get to the parties that are involved here, so the assets that are under management as of 30th of September 2024 is 316 billion Kenyan shillings, and the return on investment 7.0% and 10.6%. This is a whole range. Depending on the 42, whichever that you decide to pick, you will definitely see that particular range again. And the type of customers as well, different fund managers vary on the detail the customers differently. There's some who say you are a retail customer because you invest lower than 1 million Kenyan shillings, and the others, for the high net worth, invest more than 1 million Kenyan shillings. Let's take a look at the next slide now that you understand this particular bit. All right, so now that you understand that whole bit, the parties involved in all this. So first off, before now we get into Mr. Mwiri, we do start off with a professional fund manager who is responsible for coming up with an investment portfolio and investing the investors' funds. You'll also be having a custodian, which is basically the bank that the investor sends the investment sum and holds the investment sum on behalf of the investors. There's also the custodian. So from the custodian, we now have the trustees who majorly look out for the investors' interests, by the way. So they hold the fund manager and the custodian accountable and act as whistleblowers in case they suspect fraud or other forms of malpractice. And then finally, there's the auditor. So the work of the auditor here is to audit or review the fund's financial statements, which are then used by the investors to assess the performance of the money market fund. But Mr. Mwiri, before you begin this conversation, and even for the viewer, we talked to a number of Kenyans on their view. Have they ever interacted with the MMF? What are your thoughts on that? Let's listen in.
I've actually used it as well. I use it as a tool to park my money. It has advantages and disadvantages. So, what majority of its aspects tend to lean on advantages. So, as a short-term investment tool, you get to earn interest at a very short period. And again, it's you are able to curb inflation as you earn interest on your funds. Yes. So I've used it from 2021. One that I've used and I use frequently is Mali. I've also used Zidi by Safaricom. I've also used Saiton. I've also used Sanlam. All those are just tools to pack your money.
I have heard of money market, but I have not used it yet. But I was interested in it some time back. Okay, during my research for the money market, I found some very intriguing information about it, but there were things that actually were not making sense. That is why I didn't start using it by then. Yeah. No, I just, for me, I'm not actually a real investor on like assets, but I trust my bank with my money, and also I also trust the insurance companies for different things like education.
I can say that money market, my experience has been good, and it's a good way to save money, and as compared to putting money in the bank, because what happens is that your money actually gets a bit of interest, and it's better than just having your money in the bank being charged ledger fees. And the good thing about the money market is that you can at least access your funds. Most of them, you can access your funds within 1 month, free of charge. Afterwards, then I think they'll charge you like 1,000 shillings, something minimum deposit, but it's definitely totally worth it.
Currently, I believe that most of the MMF is short term, and therefore I invest with things, maybe in a circle. I've been doing a number of savings here and there, and I invest in tangible assets and a business, because I believe these things offer me long-term assurance. But money market is mostly, the ones that I've seen at least, are promising short-term returns. They give you some money that is returning consistently within some period, but it doesn't promise a long-term guarantee. But with investment to tangible assets, then I believe those ones can last longer, and they're actually tangible for a long period of time. Yeah. With MMF, one of the biggest advantage is the fact that they are short term. You know, they promise to give you some returns within some period of time, which is not a guarantee over a long term. Because if someone wants to invest a certain amount of money that will get returns in the future, then personally I've not seen that to be
Right. Last gentleman says short-term versus long-term. That is definitely a concern that you might have. This is just a section of Kenyans that we spoke to, but you can also chime in on this conversation. 0793-267-279 is our WhatsApp number. Talk to us. 22047 is our SMS number. Tupigie simu, by the way, weka credit 0795-045-864. I'll introduce our guest tonight in case you are joining us right now discussing this conversation. John Mweri is a financial advisor as well as an accountant. Any bit I've left out?
No.
Okay, that's good. Your quick thoughts about what you've had from the Kenyans we've interviewed.
Okay, I think people have embraced the culture of investments and savings, because you know, when it comes to finances, every bit of your earnings, like for example, when you earn something, you're supposed to make sure that you have set aside a certain percentage, and what matters is where you're going to put that money, and that's where the aspect of money market fund comes in. Yeah.
Right. There's one of the gentlemen there, he's, I think, Lemi Munene. He was talking about the lack of information therein about the money market funds as well, and also raised the issue about high risk. And when you're starting off, I was describing to the audience that this is typically described as a low risk kind of investment. Could you tell us about the potentiality about the risk involved here?
Okay. Now, money market funds are actually low risk investments.
Okay.
The reason why they are low risk is because money market funds, or the fund managers, they invest in short-term, high quality short-term debt instruments. That's why they are, number one, they are low risk investments.
Right.
The second reason why they are low risk investments is because they have low returns. You realize if you compare the returns of money market fund and the other investments, I'm not saying that actually money market funds, they have low returns. No, I'm just comparing between money market funds and other investments.
Right.
For example, if you take a case scenario of a business, and we normally say that a business is an investment, just like a money market fund, because when you put money into a money market fund, you expect the money to work for you. That means you are not supposed to be there for that money to generate some income for you. The same case with business. If that business, you're not supposed to be there for it to run or to generate some profits, then it means that that business is working for you. So whatever you're getting out of money market fund and whatever you're getting out of business is what we call passive income. Now, let me come back to risk. Now, when it comes to, the aspect of low return and high return, you realize when you start a business, we say that both money market fund and a business, as long as you are not there for them to run and make some profits for you, they're actually giving you passive income. But you realize the passive income of the money market fund is going to be, the passive income of the business is going to be a little higher than the passive income of money market fund. And that's why you'll find that money market fund are low risk. But the main reason why they are low risk is because the fund managers invest in high quality, short-term debt instruments, such as commercial papers, that is treasury bills and treasury bonds of governments, and such. Yeah.
So, some of our viewers might be hearing this very heavy words like commercial papers, and they're wondering. They probably even be like, well, this might not be my conversation. Because as you say, it is a low risk. So is this, does it cut across for all Kenyans? It doesn't really depend on your class, or it is for people who earn a certain amount of money and they can actually, their financial muscle is able to actually invest in such?
So if you are asking whether a person can be able to invest, or different groups of people can be able to invest in money market fund depending on the financial capability that you have, you realize money market fund, one aspect that has made it very possible to Kenyans is because it's flexible. And by flexibility, I mean how you can be able to put even the smallest amount of money in a money market fund. It doesn't need you to have 100,000 or to have a very high income so that you can invest in a money market fund. You realize that there are some money market funds that are going to give you options of investing even to start with 100 shillings. So you don't have to have a lot of money to invest. And I would like to go back a little bit on the risk that you just mentioned like some few seconds ago. The reason why money market fund, again, they are low risk investments is because of regulation by the Capital Markets Authority. You realize there is that aspect of regulation by the Capital Markets Authority, and the Capital Markets Authority is founded under Treasury. And just with the involvement and the aspect of the government and the auditors, and the fact that money market funds are supposed to submit some reports to the Capital Markets Authority, it makes them be very careful when they are investing the investors' funds. So, but the main goal of the thing is that the fund managers first have to make sure that they have maintained the investors' capital. So when a fund manager takes money market fund and invests it somewhere else, they are taking an extra risk of looking for something on top, so that when they decide to give your money back, they actually have something in return to give you.
Typically, when you put your money in, biggest question that a Kenyan would have is, how can I remove that money again? So the bit of, because I mean, as you tell us, as little as 100 Kenya shillings, you can definitely, invest into that.
True.
Talk to us about the withdrawal of this among this even 42 licensed fund managers that we've taken a look at. How does the withdrawal go about?
Now, it's very easy actually. You realize with the help of technology, there is no need of, we don't do paperwork. So everything is electronic. So you just have your phone there. Even when you want to join, before talking about withdrawal of money market fund, you can always join using it your phone. So when you deposit a certain amount of money and then you say that I'm going to save some money for at least, let's say 3 months, 4 months, 5 months.
Right.
Then you say, after, because we are saying that money market funds are actually short-term investments, but you can make it long-term investment. For example, if John decides to put 1,000 per month for the next 20 years, as long as the going concern of the money market fund is there and it's guaranteed, then it can be a long term.
And I love the fact that you brought up that hypothetical, because I have my pencil here and a clean piece of paper. So we're going to do a bit of a mathematical class today.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, students, to any calculators in, so that we can actually just briefly go with that. So if, for example, you invest 1,000 Kenya shillings, that's month one. Let's, for example, this is January.
Yeah, that is January.
Yes. So how do I, by start of February, for example, how much do I have here?
So,
and given, for example, you have it in fund manager X.
Yeah. So let me just explain the aspect of compounding. You've heard of compounding interest rates.
Yes, yes.
Now, before I go there, the difference between money market fund and bank is, first of all, is the interest rate.
Okay.
In bank, you are going to find fixed deposits, which they have fixed interest rates. In money market fund, you are going to find compounded interest rates. If I define compounding, is simply looking for the future value of an amount that you have today. You realize that money market funds, they work on the basis of time value of money.
Okay.
And the two aspects that are involved are compounding and discounting, right? Now, when it comes to 1,000 that you want to invest, for example, you have 1,000 that you have deposited in your money market fund. We normally see that money market fund, they will compound your money daily. So that is a frequency of compounding.
Right.
Now, money can be compounded in...
And just before, so that you don't really lose your train of thought, nimekumbushwa kuna watu kidogo hesabu ya high school iliwapoteza kidogo.
Okay.
Will you just, in simple terms, explain to us what compound deposits as well as the fixed deposits mean?
Now, fixed deposits is where the interest rate is not going to change for the investment period.
Right.
So if you bought an investment and the interest rate was 12%, then the interest rate will remain unchanged for the next up to the end of the investment period.
Right. So
if it's 12%, then you'll have it 12% until you end the investment period.
Okay.
That is the first.
Right.
Money market fund interest rate is not going to be constant. It's going to be changing from, it can either go up or go down depending on some various reasons and risk associated with the money market fund, such as management risk, credit risk, and such. Now, the interest rate of money market fund, again, is not going to be flat. We say in bank or fixed deposits, the interest rate is fixed and it's going to be flat.
Right.
So if you invest 100,000, I'm going to take 0.12% or 12% of 100,000, and then I can be able to get the figure at the end. But money market fund, this is how they do it. You're going to take 12%.
Okay.
Remember, the 12% is annual.
So for this fund manager that we are in hypothetical is 12%.
Yeah, it's 12. We are just taking an example. But I like taking a 12% because it's the average.
Okay.
The average, but I saw on the screen that you displayed 7 to 10%. It can be that, but you know that is the average of all money market funds.
Yes, yes.
But most people will just look at the money market funds that are doing actually well. Right?
Right.
But you realize that when it comes to the interest rate of money market fund, 12% per annum, this is where the confusion comes in. Most people will think that this 12, because the money market funds will tell you that we are going to compound your money daily at an interest rate of 12%.
Yeah.
But they forget this 12% is not daily. It is 12% divided by 365 days.
Okay.
So if you take 12%, you divide by 365 days, you can actually be able to get the interest rate of one day.
Okay.
All right?
Right.
Now, that interest rate of 1 day is what you're supposed to multiply by your investment, your 1,000.
All right. So 12% divided by 365?
Yeah, 12% divided by 365, you should get a 0.00 something there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So you can continue. I'll definitely calculate on that as well.
Good. Now, if day one, if you multiply 1,000 times the rate that you have gotten there, you're actually, just an example, you get 1,002 shillings. Now, in day two, you're going to take your 1,002 shillings and then you multiply by the second interest rate.
Okay.
Remember, the interest rate of day two does not necessarily have to be the same as the interest rate of day one.
Okay.
Because yesterday money market fund interest rate might be, for example, annualized daily yield might be 14.56%.
Okay.
When you are closing day two, it might be 15%. It has already gone up. Remember, they keep on changing depending on the market conditions.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
So compounding simply means the interest rate that was gained yesterday, it's part of the principal amount that is going to be compounded today. It will be part of the money that is going to be multiplied today by our today's daily interests.
Right.
That is a compounding. But when it comes to simple interest rate, is where you take the whole amount, you multiply by the annual interest rate.
Right.
Yeah. And it does not change. It is constant.
Right.
Yeah.
So just to understand you, if for that particular day the interest rate goes higher, then that means if for example, for the 12%, if you had 1,002 shillings, and then for the next day you had about 14%, then in as a quarter, for example, a 2 shilling might have increased, so you have 1,004
and 4 shillings.
And 4 shillings. Okay.
Yeah, and then the next day, the 4 shillings will be part of the money that is being multiplied by the interest rate of that day. Now, that is the meaning of compounding.
Okay.
You realize there is daily compounding, there is monthly compounding, and there is quarterly, there is annual compounding. But there is something I want to just correct a little.
Yes.
When it comes to money market fund, there is lump sum amount and the amount that you get the difference. There is this amount, for example, you say in January 2025, you deposit a lump sum of 100,000. All right?
Okay.
And then you will be contributing like 5,000 per month until the December 2025. Now ask yourself, is there 100,000?
So January lump sum of
100,000.
100,000.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you say in every month you will be making a deposit of 5,000.
So that's from February all the way to DEC.
Yeah.
Okay.
True. So the question is this money going to be compounded the same way, the way you contribute? That is a question, and that's where people confuse. Okay. And then you start saying, I thought the interest was supposed to go up. I was expecting a lot of money here. But remember, 100,000 you contributed in the first month. Right. That means it's going to complete the whole year of compounding. But remember, there is some amount that you have come to contribute on August. All right? So there is no way you are going to expect that money to be compounded 365 days. So it's going to be prorated. It's going to be compounded 365 days, but divided by the number of months that you have contributed, on the number of days that are remaining for the year to end.
Okay.
Now, for example, if you have contributed on June, if you have contributed the money on June, then it means from January to June, these days, it's not going to be part of compounding. It's only going to be compounded 365 days, but prorated on the basis of the remaining period of time between June again and December.
Right.
So the interest that is going to be gained on the 5,000 that you contributed on April or March or May is not the same interest that 5,000 is going to get, that money you contributed on August, September, October, November.
They have different...
Yeah, they have different returns.
Okay.
Remember here, when you are depositing money into a money market fund, you are actually buying an investment.
Okay.
Because if you do a money market fund right now, just a quick deposit, they are going to tell you you have purchased an investment. And they are going to be very much different from Nini. For example, you put 100 shillings, they have told you that you have invested 100 shillings or you have bought an investment worth 100 shillings.
Right.
If you put another deposit immediately of 200 shillings, they will tell you you have put another deposit of 200 shillings. So they are not going to be mixed, just to show you the difference, the timing of the difference. So that when you put a deposit one day after, the first deposit is not going to be The same with the second deposit. There is a time difference there.
Right. So that means if, and still back to a hypothetical of the 1,000 cash shillings, we did this in January, ladies and gentlemen, tukaeka your 1,000 cash shillings up ndani in January. Then we have seen, as you telling us, for example, it's between 12% to 14%, so that means every day getting about 2 shillings, 6 shillings, kiongezeka, 8 shillings. So if you withdraw that amount of money and you get, for example, it had reached 1,010 Kenyan shillings, then you again put it again, you start afresh. Okay.
Now, are you withdrawing the interest or are you withdrawing the whole amount?
Okay.
Because if for example, let me take you back a little. Before you join money market fund, you have to define the goal of investment.
Right.
There are three reasons why you're supposed to join money market. I'm just going back to answer your question.
Yes.
There are 3 reasons why you're going to join a money market fund. Number 1 is for security. You realize there is a lot of people who have huge cash, and sometimes they actually look for places they can be able to invest their money and get some, or maybe look for security. We say money market funds are secure. That is the first thing. So it's to look for the security of the money. Number 2 is to make it's for savings. For example, if John wants to start a business at the end of 2025, and I want to accumulate like 100,000. So I have done my calculation. I know for me to get 100,000 at the end of the year, I'll be taking some contributions of 10,000 per month in a money market fund. Why am I contributing in a money market fund and not in a bank account? It's because of inflation. Instead of money gaining value, it's actually losing value because of inflation. I think right now it's around 2.9% or 3%, something like that.
I think about 3.8% there.
3.8%. Yeah. Okay. I think that one was
for last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is the reason why you are going to put your money in a money market fund, just to beat the inflation rate. That is for the investment, for savings purpose. The third purpose is for passive income. If you want to generate income, if you want money to work for you. Now, I was there on the point of the reason why you're joining money market fund. And that's why if you decide to withdraw your money market fund, for example, there are people who will deposit 100,000 or 50, or let's say 20,000, and they say, I'm going to wait for 1 month, and then I'm going to withdraw the funds.
Yeah.
And then when you withdraw the funds, you realize it did not give you the return as you expected. Because I believe that for the money market fund to give you some good returns, you're actually supposed to leave that money for quite a period of time so that you can see that money start working for you.
Right.
You realize the power of compounding. If you check well, we said that interest gained yesterday is going to be part of the principle that is going to be compounded tomorrow.
Yes.
So if you leave that money for a longer period, it means the interest keeps on piling up and piling up.
Yes.
And the more it increases, the more it is compounded, and so on, like that.
But with the temptation of withdrawing it, and I mean, we're definitely in hard economic times, is there a possibility to probably lock and just say you cannot actually access this up to a certain amount of time?
Money market funds are very liquid. And when I mean by liquidity is they have enabled the system whereby if the investor feels that they are at emergency and they want to withdraw their funds, they can actually be able to access those funds. So they have not made the system hard for you, whereby you can be able to lock your savings. In a money market fund is self-discipline. Self-discipline, you put amount and then you say, I'm not going to touch this amount. But remember, there is this amount you're supposed to choose that you're supposed to invest. Because assuming that I have my earnings today and I'm paying rent in 1 week time. So do you expect me to put money that I know that I'm spending in a short while to put it in a money market fund? No. You put money in a money market fund, money that you know that you're not going to need for quite a period of time. So you're not going to put your daily expenses in a money market fund. Then you put today 2,000 and you know in the next 3 days you are going to remove because you need to use the money. No, you won't, because you are going to incur some charges, transactional charges, and they are not good.
Right.
Yeah. So you invest the money that you know you're not going to need for for quite a period of time.
All right.
Yeah.
We on our WhatsApp messages, 0793-267-279 is asking, how do you know the interest rates for this particular fund managers? I'll let you continue the answer on this, but then I could also give you an answer on this for the publications, for the dailies. So I have two Daily Nation as well as for the Standard. They have a list of some of these fund managers, and now this is where I want you to come in, because they have the daily yield as well as the annual rate.
Yeah.
Yes, they have slotted them for Kenyan shilling as well as the US dollar. When you go to the financial pages for either Business Daily, Daily Nation, as well as the Standard, you'll get these details for each and every single day, I believe. So help us understand, what does it mean for the daily yield as well as the annual yield, and how do you know, for example, if you have fund manager X, Y, and Z. X has about 12%, Y has 13%, and Z has 14%. Which one do I go for?
Now, before I come to that, let me give you the aspect of treasury bills and treasury bonds. Treasury bills, these are government securities. Treasury bills, treasury bills are actually short-term investments. Treasury bonds, they are long-term investments. If you look at long-term investments, the interest rate is high. If you look at short-term investments, the interest rate is low. Now, let me come to the annualized yield and the daily yield.
The daily yields, yeah.
You realize if you look at that, the annualized yield is a little bit high. True or false?
Yes, it is.
The daily yield is a little bit low.
Just an example for one of them, it's 11.02% for the daily yield, and the annual rate is 11.59%.
59%.
Yeah.
So this is how they calculate. An investor is going to estimate that this person is wants to invest. When you take the annual yield, the investor is going to give you the two rates for you to compare. The reason why they are going to give you and they are not going to be a very big difference between the annual yield and the daily yield.
It's a very marginal.
Yeah, a very small margin.
Yes.
So they are going to put those two percentages just to show you that the longer you invest, the more you earn.
Okay.
But when you invest for a short period of time, for example, you invest for less than 1 year, they are normally going to use the daily yield, which is now subdivided into small units, daily percentages divided by 365. It means when you leave your money for 1 year, that is annual yield, it will add up to the second interest rate.
Okay.
So there is no much difference. It is just at the timing of your investment.
Right.
Yeah, there is no difference.
So now to that question of between fund manager X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
X has 12, Y has 13, and Z has 14%.
Exactly.
I'm looking at this. I have about 42 fund managers. That means, for someone who's new, someone who's watching us tonight, they're definitely wondering, where do I go? And what decisions do I make? So far you've elaborated which ones, but then 12, 13, 14, which one?
Now, there is a saying that say that when the deal is too good, think twice.
Think twice, yeah.
Right? So actually, you will find a money market fund that is going to give you a return of 25%.
Okay.
But does it mean that you go to that money market fund? So the first thing that you're supposed to do before you join any money market fund is doing the research about that particular money market fund.
Okay.
A money market fund will have 14%, the other one will have 13%, the other one will have 12%. If you do your research well, you'll find the one that has 12%, the low interest, is actually the good one.
Okay.
Now, the difference in the interest rates of money market funds come in depending on the investments undertaken by different fund managers. Fund manager A is undertaking projects that fund manager B is not undertaking, and fund manager C is not undertaking. For example, fund manager A can be investing in treasury bills and bonds. Then fund manager B can be investing in commercial papers or corporate bonds.
Okay.
You find that the investments undertaken by fund manager A has high returns compared to investments undertaken by fund manager B. That's where you're going to see the difference in interest rates. Another thing that brings differences in interest rates is how the money market fund has been invested in by different investors. How the fund manager is going to collect a lot of money and actually be able to pull a lot of resources so that they can be able to invest somewhere else will also depend on the interest rate that is going to be given to the investors.
Right, fantastic.
Yeah.
Kitole, or now SMS number, which is 22047. Keep throwing in your questions. As you throw them, I'll be sending in to him. Kitole says, hi, TV47. Kindly ask, how much do I have to pay to join MMF?
What do you mean? Is it paying or the minimum?
I think he was talking about the entry fee.
The entry fee?
Yeah.
No, I don't think there is any entry fee because the last time I checked, even the money market fund that I use, I just created an account and I deposited 100 shillings and that was it. There was no, the only fee you pay is the transaction fee between Safaricom and if you are doing M-Pesa transaction, or bank if you are doing a bank transaction. But if there is, I don't know, you cannot know all the money market funds, whether they are charging, because you cannot put all of them into your mind. But most of them, they are not going to charge you for entry. But when it comes to investment, the interest rate that you gain, it's going to be charged 2% per annum. That is management fee. So most money market funds are going to charge a management fee of 2% per annum from the interest that you earn.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's talk about something that is really key for Kenyans when you mention money matters.
Yeah.
Taxes.
Taxes.
Is there any tax here? What, as someone who's joining in, will I be at the end of the month, at the end of the day, will I be seeing a message that there's a certain tax that has been removed from my money and there's an amount of money that has gone elsewhere? Tell us about that.
Now, money market funds are not subjected to taxation, but there is the aspect of withholding tax. There is a difference between taxation and withholding tax.
Okay.
Now, withholding tax will only come in when you are withdrawing your returns.
Okay.
And that withholding tax is 15% per annum. And if you withdraw your returns earlier, before the year ends, the 15% is going to be prorated. It's not going to be 15% as a whole. If you just invested for 6 months, then 15% is going to be divided by 12 months and then multiplied by 6 months that you invested, and then charged on the interest, not the principal. It's going to be charged on the interest that you are gaining.
Let's
it's only a withholding tax, no more taxation here.
Okay, so let's do that in mathematical terms.
Exactly.
So, for example, if it was 100,000, let's throw in some figures here: 100,000 and 250, depending on the interest, the return here that you get. So, 100,000 and 250 cash shillings. So, how now on both scenarios that you've given?
Now, the 250 is the return.
Okay.
True. Now, if is the aspect of taxation, you'll get 15%. First, how long have you invested the 100,000? Is it annual or maybe 6 months or 5 months?
Let's go the annual one.
The annual one.
Yeah.
Then you're going to take the whole 15%.
So does it mean 15% of 200?
250, not the principal. The 250, the 15% of 250, and you take 15%. That means you are going to, from your 250,000, you'll only get 85%. That is 100%. You less 15%.
Okay.
Because you are saying 250 is 100%. The total interest you got it as 100%, but now you are being charged a withholding tax of 15%. That is 15%. So you get 85%.
Okay.
All right.
So kwa hii 250, in layman's term, kwa hii 250 kuna kapesa kanatolewa.
Kanatolewa. Sasa hako ni ka withholding tax.
All right.
Exactly.
How about now the other scenario?
Which one?
So you've said for certain days before the end of the year reaches.
Now, assuming the 250 has only been invested, the 100,000 was only invested for 6 months.
Okay.
So, and you gained 250 for 6 months. So 15% is not going to be charged as a whole. So take 15%, divide by the total months, that is 12 months. Probably you get a figure like, let's say 5%, just an example. Then you're going to take 5%, you multiply by 250, right? Or 15% divided by 2, that is 7.5%, true, right? So your 250 is going to be subjected to 7.5%. That is prorated.
Okay.
They are not going, because you have not invested the money for a whole year.
All right.
So you cannot be charged tax for a whole year.
Right.
Yeah.
So
the same as with management fee of, because money market funds, they do, their profits is the management fee.
Yes.
So if you invested for a whole year, the management fee of 2% is going to be charged on a whole year. But if you invested for 6 months, the management fee is going to be charged on 6 months.
Right.
It's going to be prorated.
Right.
Yeah.
Before I get your last thoughts, allow me to walk through kind of SMSs that we've got. Number 2047, Bella is asking, how can I track my money in this money market fund?
You have your phone. You can be able to see the investment. You can be able to see that it depends on which money market fund you join. For example, there are some money market funds they have not embraced fully the idea of technology.
Right.
And there are those money market funds whereby if you put your money, you can be able, just like a bank account, you see? The way you log into a bank account, you withdraw some funds, you deposit again, and the same way and the same way. It's just the same with money market funds. You can be able to log in, track, see how, if you are gaining something or not. Right? That is a transparency. But if money market fund is still working with papers, then it means that you still to present yourself to the money market fund itself, so you'll not be able to track.
Right.
Because there are some of them which are not fully technological.
Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Mweri, as someone who is active in this subsector, what are your thoughts about the kind of uptick that MMFs are really going to be having, even for this particular year? We do expect Capital Markets Authority to be giving us more details about how 2024 was and what the projection is even for 2025. But before we even get to that, as someone who's interacted with this for different fund managers, what could be your projection really?
From what I understand and from my own point of view and experience, as I normally talk about money market fund on social media, I normally receive a lot of people want to know about money market fund. And people used to put their money in M-Shwari, in bank deposits, fixed deposits accounts. A lot of people are just hearing about money market funds right now. Most of them are just gathering information and want to know what kind of these accounts are we hearing about. They are compounding money to this and this, and everybody is talking about money market fund. But there is a lot of fear in the society about money market fund because they think it's just like any other scheme. Those schemes that you are going to be conned and so on and so on. But what I say is that money market fund is very secure actually, because here there is an aspect of government involved, the Capital Markets Authority. And then again, the aspect of the whole thing of, or how you take the way people are, their eagerness to invest in money market fund.
Right.
We expect the data that, compared to the data that the people invested in 2024 and those people that actually are going to join in 2025,
right,
we expect that number to go up.
So
because of savings actually.
Can MMF go bankrupt? Have you invested in one of them? That is, I think, Mr. Beam Blessings. I think you've answered him then just in a few 10 seconds.
Yeah, whether an MMF can go bankrupt. Now, there is no investment that is going to be 100% risk-free.
Okay.
So when you decide to take an investment, you are taking some risk, right? Now the question of whether an MMF or a fund manager can go bankrupt, it solely depends on a lot of things. If this fund manager is a corrupt person, if a money market fund is not under the Capital Markets Authority. For example, there are people who are going to, if you don't have enough information, and then you join a money market fund that is offering an interest rate of 18%, but later when you realize this money market fund is not doing well, you realize it was not registered.
Thank you very much.
Then it goes bankrupt.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
John Murray, he's a financial advisor as well as an accountant. Thank you very much for sticking around. This has been Daily Report. Asante sana for being with us. Good night. Rhoda Nyamai has been on the sign language interpretation. Go ahead.